Hello, funeral directors. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Tyler Fraser, and I just want to thank you for joining us on the second episode of Success Leaves Clues. The purpose of this show on Funeral Radio is to give you a little bit of information about what funeral directors are doing to succeed in their business. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Edward Cosmos of City of Oaks Cremation. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, you have a really interesting business. I think you're really on the cutting edge of what cremation companies are doing to serve their families. So maybe you can just start with, when was the business started and what's your business like today?
Sure. So we started in 2012, maybe August, September of 2012, and the hopes were to serve 7 to 10 families a month. That is kind of what our initial take was of what do we need to do to make this business work. And today, right now, we're right, I'd say we can help 35 families in a week and with ease. So we do extremely well. It's a very efficient business today. We haven't changed anything from 7 years ago. Our prices have remained the same, but the efficiency for us has become much easier when we're helping families. So it's definitely not your traditional funeral home at all.
That's some pretty nice growth. Tell me about your cremation urn purchasing style. What are you doing with cremation urns?
Sure. So, a lot of low-cost funeral homes, it's the last thing we wanted to do was give someone's mom back or their loved one back in a cardboard container or a plastic box, So we don't do that. When we're talking to a family, we tell them that is disrespectful. When somebody calls and says, hey, how much does it cost? What do we do? How's it work? We always tell them, listen, we're going to include a rosewood rectangular shaped urn, okay? It's already included in the cost. And then we tell them the urn actually costs $15, but it's already built into the cost. We just think it's disrespectful to give you a cardboard box containing your loved one. And the reason why we throw that out there that's disrespectful is because we have very smart consumers and they're price shopping. So when they call the next funeral home and the funeral home says, yeah, it's $3,000 for this, and you get a plastic container, they instantly think, wait a second, I was just told that's disrespectful. So we actually buy our urns in bulk. So by bulk, I mean we typically order about 700 at a time. And what that does is it helps us keep our costs down so we can offer this to the consumer. And if they don't want the urn, if they look at it and say, you know what, this one isn't a good fit for me, this doesn't remind me of my loved one, we always tell them, you don't have to buy the urn from us. We'll just deduct the $15 and you can always purchase your own urn. So that's a whole nother unique thing that we do that's different again through UPD Urn, and we're very thankful for that.
Thank you very much. So you actually engrave on each urn as well. So
yeah.
You make money off of that.
Yeah,
and you have your own in-house engraver.
My son does. He's 7. He's got to have a job. But Ethan's engraving service does engrave the urns. And but yeah, on every rosewood urn, we have the capability of, we don't just have to put in loving memory of Harvey Flair, date of birth, date of death. We can customize it as much as a family needs, whether they want to have a religious symbol or they want to have a boat or a train or whatever it is that they want. We can get any image on there and very much personalize it for the family. So
you actually mentioned that you do engrave fingerprints in the shape of a heart.
Yeah. So we can actually capture someone's fingerprint, and then what we'll do is we'll have a heart image, and then we'll blow that fingerprint up so it fills up the entire heart. And then, so again, you want to talk about a personalized urn, it doesn't get any more personalized than somebody's. And to be able to touch it and to feel it is very unique. And
you also mentioned that you have a unique way of stocking your shelves. Can you tell the listeners about that?
So where we get our urns, all right, so a funeral home is for profit. I mean, it's a small business. Everybody wants to make money. It's a profit. We want to do something more than just say it's a profit. We really want to help families. So I mentioned that we haven't increased our cost in 7 years, okay? So in order to do that, we have to decrease our expenses. So one of the ways that we decrease our expenses are buying urns through some untraditional ways, the same way a family would. A family would go on Amazon, a family would go on eBay, a family would go on various different websites. The funeral home might not want to admit that or acknowledge that, but we do the same thing. I can buy an urn on eBay or on Amazon for $35, $40, an adult size urn. And then we can offer that to families. But you know, there's an upsell. We sell all of our urns for $150. It doesn't matter if it costs us $80 or $40, we sell them for $150. But we also tell the family, you don't have to buy the urn from us. You can go on Amazon. A lot of families at that point, they're like, nope, this is what I want. Let's just get this and be done with it. But yeah, we stock our shelves in a very unique, different way. We don't just use one supplier. We shop around. Well, I think a lot of times the funeral home helps a family, and you know, the family's going to come back once every 7 years. And so it's let's see how much money we can get from the Jones family today, because we might not see them for another 7 years. Our logic is, let's help the Jones family, okay? You know, no amount of money that the Jones family spends is going to bring grandma back. So our approach is, let's just help the family. And what happens is, we see the Jones family about once a year, because now the Jones family says, you know what, you guys made that easier. It was less expensive than I thought. It's the same cost that you told me it was going to be. And I don't feel like I overspent. So now what happens is, when they have a coworker, you got to at least call these people. You got to at least talk to these people. So that's been a big help for us, is just the mentality of just help people, and then we'll get that repeat business sooner.
So Edward, you previously told me about how you got into this business, and you know, your input on helping the family and how important that is. What got you started? What were you doing before funeral services, and what got you into it?
So I worked for an insurance company. I was a market manager for an insurance company, and it wasn't the greatest job, but I got paid. And sometimes we find ourselves in life where you have to just keep on working because you're getting paid. Again, it wasn't my passion, but I had been doing it for some time. I got paid fairly well, and that's what I did for a living. My grandmother passed away probably about, if I had to guess, I'm going to say 10, 11 years ago, okay? Maybe 12 years ago, but 10 or 11 years ago, my grandmother passed away. And my family went into the local funeral home, just like everybody's family does. And we sat down, and I could see my mom instantly have no logical thinking, okay? Her mom just passed away, and, you know, all sorts of different emotions go on with people, okay, at the time of death. And I could see my mom making decisions on whatever the funeral director said. My mom literally went like this. And you know, they charged our family for bringing ice out to the house. Well, we got an ice maker in the freezer. Why do we need you to bring a chest of ice? Nothing. To put signs at the road that say slow down funeral. You know, all these things, it just didn't make any sense. And I recall having a conversation with my mom saying, listen, do we really need that? Do we really need? And it was like, yes, we have to do this, because that's what the funeral director said. And he was dressed nice, you know? So that's what we did. A year later, my grandfather died. And, you know, we went and did the same identical thing, but this time it cost more, because, you know, the funeral home goes up in price every year. So it was just mind-boggling to me. And that's when I kind of said to my wife, I said, you know, we had talked about when my grandmother passed away, the frustration that I had. And then when my grandfather passed away, I was like, you know what, this is just something that's just like eating at my heart. I know we can do this completely different from a traditional funeral home. And at the time, that was probably about 9 years ago when I made that decision. You know, I had to go to school, go through the licensing process, the funeral apprenticeship with a funeral home. And so if you go back 9, 10 years ago, there wasn't a direct cremation place around like that. It was maybe just starting. Maybe you had some big firms that were doing it, but I was definitely told that this was going to be a failure. I mean, I'm in a big city, you know, 1.2 million people in Wake County, North Carolina, 17 funeral homes in Raleigh, North Carolina, and here we're going to open this up in the garage of my home.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so it worked out well.
Yeah.
We were in the garage for about maybe about 4 weeks, and then the state of North Carolina said, well, we gave you that license accidentally. We didn't mean to. You got to go to an office. So we opened up an office. It was about 405 square foot.
Wow.
And that included a prep room.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was 405 square foot is 20 by 20.
Yeah.
We were there for about a year, and now we're in a building that's about 6,750 square foot. Cremations are done on site. Everything is, it's been streamlined, very easy. But that's kind of how I got into it, because I didn't like the way that my family was treated. I mean, that's the short answer right there.
So Edward, the story that you just told me, I mean, it sounds cliche, but you're really the next generation of funeral director that comes in without the several generations.
Yeah.
Comes in and sees a need, sees a different way of doing things, and it becomes a great success.
Yeah. I've met individuals that want to do this, but those individuals seem to maybe work for a funeral home where the owner or the corporation doesn't have the same mindset. I think that people go into this profession. I truly believe that 95% of the funeral directors that work in this profession are great, genuine, helpful, kind, caring, would do anything for the family that they sit across from. The problem is that person that is the funeral director, they don't always get to have the final say. They don't get to say, Mrs. Jones, I see that you're $120 short. Don't worry about it. It's only $120. Their job is to say, well, I'm sorry, if you don't pay the $120, we're going to end up going to small claims court, and which is very embarrassing when you read about those on the news, somebody going to court over, it just doesn't make sense. And so I think the individual funeral directors are great. I think the problem with funeral homes is sometimes they've lost touch of what we're supposed to be doing. And I think the next generation, look at your funeral homes out there, there's a lot of, for the lack of a better word, I'm just going to say it, you can edit it out if you need to. There's a lot of old white guys out there. And that's not what people are walking into the funeral home are. You got to have some diversity. So, having a young black man as a funeral director that works with us, he does great. And he doesn't work with just black families. He works with our white families and our Hispanic families. Having, a Hispanic staff that's able to talk to the Spanish families and help with, it's just, we live in a different world right now, and you either have to embrace it or you're going to fail. And if you embrace it for the right reasons, you're going to do extremely well. So I think the next generation of funeral directors, the whole industry is going to change. Cremation is just becoming more and more relevant.
So one thing I like to ask on this show, Success Leaves Clues, is if you could give the listening audience, the funeral directors that are listening, kind of a silver bullet on what is really something that has helped you do well in your business and what could help them.
I would say if you are a funeral director already and you're working for a company that it just doesn't fit, and you're doing it because you love the job, but you're working somewhere because you have to make money, I would say start your own business. I really would. And it might take a leap of faith. It might take missing a paycheck for a month. But if you really love what you do, you could do it a whole lot better if you didn't have to answer to someone else. If you really have a passion for what you're doing and you know how to do it, then you should do it. You don't need somebody to tell you what's right and wrong. You have your own moral compass. You do the right thing and you help people. But I would say that we have a lot of funeral directors that could help more people if they were doing it on their own and their hands weren't constrained by the company that they worked for. I think the families would be better off. Competition is a good thing in funeral homes. Competition is a really good thing, but in the same sense, how many funeral homes do you need for, a population of 1.2 million people? I don't know if that answer is 17. I don't know if that answer is 26. I don't know if that answer is 9. But if you had 30 funeral homes, there's going to be some that do really well and some that do not. Those ones that do not do really well, it's because they were doing it wrong. So competition is a good thing. It forces everyone else to kind of change their approach. But that would be my advice is, start your own business, and start your own business with someone that you like and they have the same mindset. You don't have to do it by yourself, but I would definitely encourage people to do something on their own and help people.
What's next for City of Oaks in regard to things that you're excited about in the next 6 months, 12 months?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot. We get asked when we're going to open up the next location. We get asked when we're going to franchise. We've gotten several written offers for, we'd like to purchase your business. I have a 23-year-old and a 7-year-old, so what's next for City of Oaks is nothing. City of Oaks will continue to help families. Our goal is looking at how many families. We don't focus on dollar sales. We look at how many families will we serve. So, we want to serve 7 to 10, then we want to serve 50, then we want to serve 100, 150. So we're looking at that next monthly increment of how many families do we want to serve. But as far as growth for the actual City of Oaks cremation, none. And it's intentional. There's a point in everyone's life where a lot of times people are like, I got to make more, I got to make more, I got to make more. I would just like to spend a little bit more quality time with my family, being able to help other people serve their family. And so for me, I really have a great work-life balance. And to me, it's just not worth it to do it again. Starting a business is very difficult, very rewarding. And some people take a small business and they grow it into this massive, entity. We've taken this small business and we have really changed the way that people see funeral arrangements and funeral homes in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that was my original goal. We have done it, and now we just want to keep duplicating it family by family.
Well, Edward, an underlying tone that I've heard you mention several times in this conversation is helping your families and helping people. And, I really admire that about you. That's a great position to take when operating a business. And I think it's wonderful to see that you've done well while focusing on helping people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. And that is just something that we instill in all of our people. It's the same thing. I mean, it's just everyone that works there just has this, and most of the people in the funeral industry say, I'm here to help, I'm here to help. But, you really get to see it when you're sitting across from somebody and they're trying to not get you to emotionally overspend, not trying to encourage you to let us cater an event for you and let's have some cookies and let's, get a picture of your grandma and make her into a quilt, and some families want that and some families need that. It's just not for us to try and sell it to you, because let's face it, when people are emotional and they just lost their loved one, they just, what do I do? Just write a check. Just tell me how much I'm gonna write the check. That's not when we need to be taking advantage of families. So, we love what we do. I'm honored to be able to do it. I'm thankful that it has gone so well, and I'm very excited about continuing to do it for the next many, 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 many years without changing the cost. So,
well, it's wonderful to have you here and to hear your story, Edward. It's refreshing to hear what you just said about not pushing products on the family, not trying to make extra money in the sale, but trying to help them in their time of need, which may not be to spend money, may not be to get something that they don't need, making sure that their needs are met.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Edward.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Listeners, thanks so much for watching Success Leaves Clues. I'm Tyler Fraser on Funeral Radio. Until next time.